Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I know it's been a while since my last video, but I did just want to update you and let you know that I have found a UX job. So I'm very excited to share with you just a brief explanation of how my search went, and then next week I'm gonna make a separate video on my process, like tips and tricks on how I got there. And it's been a long journey, so I'm really excited to just get right into it. I also have notes, so if you see me looking off to the side, it's just because I made some notes and I want to cover as much as possible from my experience. So I am now officially a user experience designer, and I made a video about my bootcamp experience. That was the last video I made, so if you want to check that out, that gives a little insight on how I got to this step in my life. So back in December, I officially graduated from my UX bootcamp in Utah, and that was Dev Mountain. And from there, as soon as I got back home, which was like mid-December, second week of December, I basically just straight worked on my portfolio. I created my portfolio and I also created my resume. My resume was pretty much set the day of graduation, but I went in there multiple times and just, went ahead and edited anything that I thought needed improvement, and I made so many variations of my resume. It's ridiculous to how many times I actually changed it. So I created my online portfolio on Webflow. There's tons of websites out there that you can actually, make your own portfolio and have your designs in there along with your case studies. But I chose Webflow because when I was in Utah, there was actually a Webflow course that was down the street from my school that someone was hosting. So I actually went there along with a few of my classmates and we checked it out and we all really enjoyed it. And I was really interested in using Webflow and learning more about it. So I just went with Webflow. So I already took the course. It was about an hour? It was about an hour course that was in person that they had hosted. And from there I said, I'm just gonna stick with this. But yeah, so just working on my portfolio, creating it on Webflow, and also working on my resume. And along with, I created another case study that I could showcase on my portfolio. Originally, I only had 2, but I wanted to add a third one, so for 3 total. And I actually did this, I worked on all 3 of these things for 2.5 months. So my case study, creating my portfolio, making sure it was just, exactly what I wanted, and also editing my resume. And I started job searching the beginning of February. So this is when I actually went on job listings and just started mass applying. And basically from here, while I was waiting, I said, I can be doing a lot more. So I decided to take a course and get a certificate in customer experience. This course was online and it was free. So this was just an addition to something, or it was an addition, basically it was an addition of adding something to my resume and also getting further knowledge. So I was like, it's not gonna hurt. Adding more to your resume, it can help it stand out more, and also you're growing your knowledge in customer experience, which I feel does have a hand in, UX design. So I decided to get that certificate. It took me about a week to get after taking the classes. So that was the beginning of April. From here, I actually got a part-time remote unpaid internship. So internship, just a couple hours a week. I believe I did 2 days a week and 4 to 5 hours each day. So about 8 to 10 hours a week. And I was a user interface designer along with being a user experience designer. And I actually found this unpaid internship through a website called AngelList. And if you're not familiar with it, you can check it out. A lot of startups are on there. So a lot of startup companies and new companies coming to the surface. So that was pretty cool. I had this internship from April to June, and on April, like around April, end of April, I ended up applying for a UX position online, and this was directly on the employer's website that I ended up getting the job with, but we didn't get to that part. I ended up applying on their website, company's website, and so that was end of April, beginning of June, maybe like the first week of June, I ended up scheduling a phone screening with the hiring manager from the company. And we had a discussion, and she said that, she would like me to speak to the manager of the UX team. So I ended up having an interview that same week with the manager of the UX team. And from there, he wanted me to have interviews with the team members. So the next, a couple days later, I ended up having a few interviews with the rest of the team, getting to know them. They asked me various questions about design, kind of just getting to know how I think and how I make design decisions. And then from there, it was a little bit of a wait, but then the manager and the hiring manager got back to me, and they let me know that they just want me to go through a design exercise. So it's just a brief design exercise or design test where, it's different for everyone, but it's basically a design test to get further knowledge on how you process things, and again, make design decisions and how you came to the conclusion of doing this. Why did you do it? Things like that. So I ended up doing this design exercise, and it was the UX manager was there and also a member from the team. So they both asked me questions. I presented what I came up with, and they gave me feedback. From there, it was a little bit of a wait, but not too long of a wait. I was so nervous after that, but not too long of a wait. And the end of June, they came back to me with an offer, and I ended up accepting that offer. So this was a really, really exciting time. And this was all during, the COVID crisis. So I did not know what the outcome was going to be for anything. I didn't even know I was going to get contacted. It took me almost 5 months. Okay, so from basically the time I started applying, actually from the time I started applying, not basically, from the time I started applying, it took me 5 months to find a full-time user experience job. Okay, that's not from graduation, because I did not apply to jobs directly after I graduated. I took time out to get my resume, portfolio, and things together. So during this time, searching from February to June, just like a recap, but I did not stop applying after I found my unpaid internship. Maybe this is something someone may have thought about, but don't stop applying just because you have this unpaid internship. Just, continue with the internship and also still apply to other jobs from there, because you never know, you might be missing out on an opportunity. So I did not stop applying even after I found my internship. I applied to about 200 to 250 jobs online. So I don't know if this is considered a lot or not, but to me, 200 to 250 jobs online, that was a really, high amount, but it was still worth it, of course. So just take out time, apply to those jobs that you see online. And out of all those jobs, one application allowed me to go onto their assessment test, and I didn't end up going to the next round, but just out of those 250 jobs, I only got one assessment test. That's that's it. So, and out of all those jobs, only one other job, not the job I ended up getting, but one other job from that, like outside of that, contacted me and did a phone screen. Just one job out of 250. It was challenging. You know, that time and this time right now is so challenging. But they did have time to add me on LinkedIn, which was so strange because they never got back to me after the phone screen. They ghosted my email, my follow-up email. It was just like phone screen, then they added me on LinkedIn, and then that was all that I ever heard or all that I ever seen of them again. Which was rude. And you know, you'll actually find that very common where you might have a phone screen, then they add you on LinkedIn, and then they disappear. So I talked to a few other of my friends about that, and they're like, yeah, that happens to me. They just add me on LinkedIn and then I never hear from them again. And I'm like, well, glad to know it wasn't just me, but yeah, that happens. But anyways, yeah, that's an overview of my job search and how I got this job. Next week, I'm gonna go into a more detailed video on like tools that I use, tips that I could recommend to you, and also any suggestions that I have from my months of job searching. I know that user experience design and getting into it is different for everyone. Some people get a job within a couple months. Some people get, you know, still haven't landed their job and they may have been searching months on months. So, you know, just still be patient with it. Don't give up during this time because trust me, as much as I was getting those rejection letters, I still was like, okay, on to the next one. So that's kind of also a mentality that you have to keep. But I didn't want to make this video too long. If you enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up and I will see you guys next week.